Got the one cap kind of stuck in there a little bit. You can see it right there. I'm going to go ahead and just turn this around a little bit. Got the wheel jacked up where I can do that. And I'm going to knock that out of there. And I'm going to make sure these holes are fairly clean. I don't care about the old grease in there, I just want to see if it feels rusty or anything like that, and it really doesn't. Maybe it does feel a little bit rusty. I'm going to clean the grease out of those holes and then wipe the inside with a piece of sandpaper a little bit, because these cups do have some rust on them. There is some rust on that, so I think some in the 22 years this has been on there, some rust has accumulated in there and kind of swollen up, and that's why one of the reasons it was so tight getting off. That is pretty rusty inside that hole. Go ahead and sand that out a little bit. I'm going to use a piece of 180 wet or dry paper. I'm just going to tear off a small piece. I'll probably go through 3 or 4 pieces like this, and just go around and around inside that hole until it's all shiny all the way around. Well, maybe not quite shiny, but it's a whole lot cleaner, and I don't feel any rough spots inside the hole anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and just my preference, I'll wipe a little grease in there and on the caps, and start assembling this thing. I got to go back to Freightliner and get a different U-joint. The new one that they gave me is not the right one. I should have checked it before I put this grease in there. I'll just have to wipe that out as best as I can. Then I got to drive, gosh, it's going to be around 45 miles round trip, I think. So I'm going to call and find out what the deal is, see if they got the right one. This one's almost an inch bigger than the one that I'm taking out. I'm going to take another shot at it. Got back from Freightliner with a different U-joint. Little crooked. Oops, looks a little better. Nice, went right in. And of course, if it didn't go in, we would have used this for a press. I'm going to go ahead and start a couple of these bolts in there. I'll tighten those up in a little bit. I'll come around this side and make sure this one goes on good. I didn't pre-grease the inside of this, so I'm going to have air trapped in there. We'll just have to keep blowing grease in there until all the air comes out and the grease comes out on all 4 cups. That thing was just rusted in there. The old one was just rusted in. That's why it took so much to get it out. But I still want to see how this thing fits, since I made it just in case I need it. That's what we would do, is just tighten that down. And then, of course, those screws are going to be a little too long. I got a shorter set of screws I could put in there. And then we just tighten this down and push it in with that. I'm pretty sure it's going to work just fine, but it looks like I don't really need it. I got my 3/8 drive impact, and I got it turned all the way down low. There's no reason to put these on real tight. There's nothing working against them, but they do need to be tight enough where they don't back off on their own. But they got Loctite glue on the threads already. Now you may not get away with putting it on the lowest speed on all 3/8 drives. That is a pretty good one, a pretty high powered one. It claims to have like 260 foot-pounds of torque on full blast, but all the way down on number 1, I don't know what it's going to have, but the other 3/8 bolts, they normally torque around 35 foot-pounds, so it's got enough. Yeah, now I gotta clean up the other drive shaft a little bit, scrape some of that off of there, and then put that on from underneath. I can't do it from up here. Put the last of the caps on. Okay. Somebody that does this all the time may have a different way of doing it. But that's the way I did it. I got a different way of doing U-joints on cars because I've done quite a few of them when I used to do, well, cars were rear wheel drive back then. When they became front wheel drive, I had already kind of gotten out of car mechanics full time and was getting into driving and welding. I was doing both. I worked in a steel foundry for a while at a machine shop, and then I got out of there and went to driving a delivery truck locally for a few years, and then went back to welding at a pipe shop. Those are tight. Now I just gotta grease it, and that U-joint's done. Yeah, it's got two grease fittings, but it doesn't matter which one you grease up. It's just whichever one's easiest to get to, because they both go to the same place. This one's not even holding on tight, and I don't know if that's the grease fitting's fault or the end of my hose here. You grease it until the grease comes out, all four trunnions or caps, whatever you want to call them, cups. It's coming out the bottom one, coming out this one, coming out this one. I just haven't seen this one yet. Not coming out that one. Well, I'm going to grab all this loose grease and throw it on the fifth wheel. And turn this around and try putting it in the other side. I think I see it coming out there. Okay, we're coming out this one, that one, and that one. Okay, we got it on all four coming out. And for me, I like to grab the loose grease that comes off of there and put it on the fifth wheel so that it doesn't just get slung all over the place. Well, I think we have a done job here. Hope that helps somebody. Thanks for watching.